The air crackles with tension, a palpable sense of unease that seems to electrify the very atmosphere. Thousands throng the Plaza del Congreso, their chants echoing off the grand facades of the historic buildings. The crowd is a sea of determined faces, each person driven by a deep sense of urgency and purpose. Buenos Aires, a city known for its vibrant energy and lively streets, feels different today. The usual hustle and bustle are replaced by a tense stillness, as if the city itself is holding its breath. Fear and anger simmer beneath the surface, a volatile mix that could ignite at any moment. The people are on edge, their emotions raw and unfiltered. All eyes are on the Congress building, where Argentina's future hangs in the balance. The imposing structure stands as a silent witness to the unfolding drama. Inside, a fierce debate rages. Lawmakers are locked in a battle of words, each side passionately defending their vision for the country's future. Javier Milei, the controversial economist turned president, watches impassively as lawmakers clash over his proposed reforms. His presence is a constant reminder of the high stakes involved. The stakes couldn't be higher. The decisions made here will shape the nation's trajectory for years to come. Argentina, crippled by inflation and debt, stands at a crossroads. The weight of the nation's problems is almost tangible, pressing down on everyone involved. Milei's supporters believe his radical approach is the country's only salvation. They see his reforms as a necessary shock to a system that has long been broken. His opponents fear it will push millions deeper into poverty. They worry that the radical changes will only exacerbate the existing problems, leading to greater suffering for the most vulnerable. Every word, every gesture is scrutinized for a sign of what's to come. The tension is palpable, a living thing that seems to fill the room. Will Argentina embrace Milei's radical vision, or will the protests outside force a different path? The outcome is uncertain and the stakes are incredibly high. The answer, it seems, hangs heavy in the air, as uncertain as the storm clouds gathering over Buenos Aires. The city waits, holding its breath for the storm to break and reveal what the future holds. Javier Milei campaigned on a promise to shake up Argentina's stagnant economy. His vision was clear and uncompromising, aiming to break free from the economic chains that have long held the country back. His solution? A radical free market approach, slashing government spending and opening the country to foreign investment. This approach, he argued, would breathe new life into the economy, creating jobs and fostering innovation. Dubbed El León, the lion, for his fiery rhetoric, Milei captured the imagination of many, especially the young and disillusioned. His speeches resonated with those who felt left behind by the current system, promising a brighter future.
His reform bill, however, has proven deeply divisive. The boldness of his proposals has sparked intense debate across the nation. It proposes drastic cuts to social programs, privatization of state-owned enterprises, and a dramatic reduction in government bureaucracy. These measures are seen by some as a necessary evil to revive the economy. Proponents argue these measures are necessary to curb inflation and attract much-needed investment. They believe that without such reforms, Argentina will continue to spiral into economic despair.
Opponents paint a different picture. They fear the social cost of these reforms will be too high. They say Milei's reforms will disproportionately hurt the poor and vulnerable, dismantling Argentina's social safety net and exacerbating inequality. The fear is that the most vulnerable will be left to fend for themselves in an increasingly harsh economic landscape. Unions and social movements have vowed to fight the bill tooth and nail, arguing it represents a return to the neoliberal policies that plunged the country into crisis in the past. They see it as a step backward, not forward.
The debate has become increasingly polarized. The country is split between those who see Milei as a savior and those who view him as a threat. Milei's supporters accuse his critics of clinging to outdated socialist ideals. They argue that the old ways have failed and that new, bold measures are needed. His opponents, in turn, warn of the dangers of unchecked capitalism, drawing parallels to the social unrest that has plagued other Latin American countries. They caution that without safeguards, the reforms could lead to greater instability and hardship for many. Outside Congress, the cries of "Basta de ajuste," enough austerity, reverberate through the streets, echoing off the walls of the grand buildings and filling the air with a palpable sense of urgency and desperation. A sea of faces, young and old, united in anger and fear, their expressions a mix of determination and anxiety, paints a stark contrast to the sterile halls of power, where decisions are made far removed from the everyday struggles of the people.
We cannot afford these cuts. They are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are our lives, our futures. They are taking food from our tables, medicine from our sick. Every cut means another family struggling to make ends meet, another child going to bed hungry. How are we supposed to survive? How can we build a future when our present is so uncertain?
We've seen this before. History is repeating itself, and we are once again the ones who have to pay the price. These reforms will only benefit the rich, while the rest of us are left to suffer. The gap between the wealthy and the poor will only widen.
The protesters come from all walks of life, from different backgrounds and professions, united in their opposition to what they see as a direct attack on their livelihoods. Their unity is their strength, their shared struggle, a powerful bond. They carry banners with slogans like No al ajuste and Milei mentiroso, Milei liar. Their message is clear and uncompromising, their voices growing louder with each passing hour, a crescendo of dissent that cannot be ignored. This is not just about economics, it's about dignity, about a fundamental belief in a just and equitable society. It's about standing up for what is right, for the values that bind us together. For these protesters, the fight against Milei's reforms is a fight for their very survival. It's a battle for their homes, their families, and their future.